Dawson's Rambles.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here with some Power Rangers Lightning Collection news and a little bit extra non-Lightning Collection news at the end. But this is more news about Wave 8. A while back I did a video on what we speculated they would be, and then we just got confirmation of what they would be from Toy Wiz. People say they leaked them. They're just putting up the stock for their store. That's not a leak. Now we have official pictures of them, and I wanted to talk about them and give you guys a look at them. And I want to start by prefacing this with, I have some criticisms of these, and I feel like I'm walking on eggshells with the Lightning Collection nowadays, because as a reviewer, obviously I'm going to be critical of them and review them and talk about them, but I feel like people tend to be a little bit over the top angry and resentful of that Lightning Collection for relatively minor things. So it's like, when I find something to criticize, I'm like, I don't even want to mention this because people are just gonna jump on the hate wagon. So, you know, there's definitely some problems I'm gonna be addressing in this video talking about the pictures, but let's not go overboard, guys. This is still a $20 budget collection line. This isn't a $1,000 figure, and you guys aren't the Queen of England. Calibrate. I'm not trying to be mean, but let's just calibrate here, guys. So, with the pictures, there's definitely some problems with these. So, Zeo Ranger 4, I think, looked the best for Adam. Like, the general proportions and everything don't bother me too much. He's in a little bit of a funny pose when we look at him, you know, but that's not necessarily indicative of anything. Like, the Omega Ranger I thought was going to be really weird, because they had some weird poses. They're like, buy the Omega Ranger figure from Amazon, and he's like this. But then when you got him, he was a good figure. So, that might not be indicative of anything. The only real problem I have with it is he does have the silver border, it looks like, around his visor, and it's supposed to be white. Now that's a relatively minor thing, and it's funny because that's something else that comes up in here, but if you take a look at this, Zeo Ranger 5 does have the white border on it. And so again, that's not a huge deal, honestly. The thing that bothers me about it is the inconsistency. But I'll get to something more about that in a second, because there's another very similar problem in this wave so far. But then the human head for Adam I think looks pretty good. I think they did a pretty good job on it. No problems there. But now I'm going to talk immediately about Dino Thunder Blue, because it's funny. You have the same problem here, which comes from Dino Thunder Red, who they have the silver background, or the border, and it's supposed to be white. Now this sounds like such a nitpicky thing, but here, or at least they're being consistent. They're keeping the silver border for Dino Thunder Blue, just like on Red, and it sucks it's not accurate, but it's not a huge deal breaker. The thing that bothers me is the consistency. Even though the silver lining is not correct for the Dino Thunder ones, at least Blue also has it, so it's keeping in line with Red's. And then you get to Zeo, and if they keep the silver one and it's not just, you know, my eyes playing tricks on me, then you have Zeo Ranger 5 with the correct border, and then you have Zeo Ranger 4 without it. And again, it's such a minor detail, it's almost like pathetic nerd stuff to complain about it, but it bothers me less on the level of looking at the figure and being like, that's inaccurate. And more so bothers me in the lack of logic. It's kind of the same thing with this guy. You know, the differences between the Green Ranger and the Silver Stripe one are basically just supposed to be the color of the morpher and the silver stripe. Everything else is transferable. You know, all you have to do for everything else is move it from one spot to another. It's like, alright, all you have to do for this figure is move this here to here, and they're like, alright, let me just... That's what bothers me about it. It's not even so much about how it looks, because it's a tiny little border on a visor. Who cares? But it's like, the logic of not keeping them consistent bothers me. The same thing happened with the Legacy figures, where half the mmpr team had white belts and the other half had silver. It's just the logic is more what bothers me than the aesthetic. So, sorry about that mini rant. But then you have the Ethan head, which I think looks fine. It looks more close to the way he looked in Wormhole. I'm thinking about that because I recently just recorded my Wormhole review for my Retro Team-Up series, and I was commenting on how they made everything match Dino Thunder except for Ethan's hair, because it was like more of a buzz cut. But it does look decent. Then you have SPD Pink, and I think the human head for SPD Pink looks pretty good. It does almost look like this weird match between a cartoon and a human, but it doesn't look bad. And then you do also have a problem there with the border on her helmet. It looks weird. I will say that this helmet looks cheap because it doesn't have the border, and I was trying to remember, and I went back and looked to compare to the previous two, like, main SPD releases. So for Red, you kind of just had a little bit of a silver border, but it almost looks light enough where you can't even see it on the edges. Then for Blue, you actually do have the white border. So again, I think Pink's here in this picture doesn't look that great, but it's all about the consistency. So we have blue over here looking pitch perfect, you have red kind of looking like a halvesy, and then you have pink missing it. Again, if they were all at least one way, white border, silver border, nor border, that would be fine. It's all about the logic of the consistency. Then you have the re-release for Lost Galaxy Red. It does seem to have a different hairstyle, at least for the helmet sculpt. I keep wanting to call the face sculpt the helmet sculpt for some reason, but for the head sculpt, and it seems like he doesn't come with the Quasar Saber full mode. It looks like he just comes with the closed mode and a little fire accessory. The box shots we have as of this recording are only at an angle, so it's not impossible it comes with it. I know that there was a bunch of people throwing a hissy fit over Dino Thunder Red not having the staff, and then he did, so it's not impossible. But like the press shot we have is him just holding the closed mode. It looks kind of really cool in gold, but it's also pretty lame if that's the only thing he comes with. I was thinking they should have just included the trans dagger. That would have been a perfect thing if they don't include the full-on, you know, Quasar Saber. The trans dagger would be perfect, because if you're someone that absolutely has to buy this because you want to buy every release, at least you're getting something a little different. But then that's something I could easily pass on, be like, I don't need the trans dagger, but it's cool they included it. But also worth noting, it seems like from the box we can't tell if Dino Thunder comes with, or Dino Thunder Blue comes with a ThreeZero shield. I'm not going to completely rule it out as of this, because again, people said the same thing about Red and it ended up happening, but who knows. They have been kind of weirdly inconsistent with that, like both Zeo Ranger 5 and 4 have their weapons, but 3 didn't get it, so who knows, who knows. But bottom line is, I feel like I sound like one of the nitpicky lighty people in this video, but there definitely is some sketchy things about this wave. Like, in general, I think they look okay. And as I said, for me, it's not so much about the look, because most of the stuff for me is pretty minor, but it's more about the logic and consistency of just looking over what you did before and just doing the same thing here. And it's not like something that they have to break the bank to do. But what do you guys think of these? Let me know in the comments of what you think of Wave 8 and how they look right now. You know, I almost want to say we'll see if they change them before, but other than them fixing Dino Thunder White, I can't think of a case where they actually have looked different from their press photos. Outside of, like I mentioned, Omega looking normal if you pose him like a normal person. The other bit of just small news is there were these new Mighty Morphin figures announced, these 1/6 scale figures. I can't remember the name of the company at the moment, but it'll be right in the description. But I know we're all sick of mmpr merch, but I just wanted to highlight these because they're kind of like these cool figures with like a cloth look to the suits, and I think they actually look pretty neat. So even though we're all sick of that, you know, mmpr brand, I think these look kind of neat, and I just wanted to talk about them. And what do you guys think of them? And like I said, what do you think of Wave 8? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get notifications for my videos. Dawson Rider, signing out.